Only fools test a force they can't measure, and the moment they touched you, they learned exactly how small they truly are. That's the kind of line that should haunt them, because that's what happened. These people walked into your life acting like they understood your worth, like they could judge your spirit with their tiny minds. They thought your quiet was weakness. They thought your patience was softness. They thought your peace meant you were unarmed. They didn't know the universe ranked you long before they ever knew your name. They didn't know your energy wasn't random. They didn't know your presence wasn't accidental. And when they tested you, they triggered a backlash their ego wasn't built to survive. Let me give you a metaphor, so sharp it draws blood. Imagine someone tapping a sleeping volcano because they think it's just a mountain. Then the ground shakes, the heat rises, and the sky darkens. That's you. You weren't quiet because you were harmless. You were quiet because you were calibrated. You were still because you were focused. And when they hit you with their cheap tests, the eruption proved your rank. Another fact: people with no power always poke at those who carry it naturally. It's the only way they feel big. They were scared of you from the start. They just hid it behind their fake calm. And thank you, chosen one. Don't forget to pay this message back by simply pressing like and subscribe to help spread this message to more souls. It's part of the mission. You are part of the force. Thank you for standing with the light. Now we continue. Let's talk about the ones who tested you. They saw your silence and thought it meant you were empty inside. They thought your kindness was lack of awareness. They thought you didn't notice their little games, their low-key jealousy, their fake support. They thought you were blind. In reality, you just had the self-control not to expose them too quickly. They poked a being the universe ranked, and they didn't even know what language your energy speaks. They tested what they didn't respect, and now they're paying for every move. The universe doesn't respond to what people say. It responds to who they are. Their intentions held the weight of dust. Your intentions held the weight of truth. So when they tried to interfere with your path, the universe didn't watch quietly. It shifted, it defended, it revealed. That's what real rank looks like. Not loud, not bragging, not attention-seeking. Real rank sits in silence until someone stupid forces it to stand. They didn't expect your energy to push back this hard. They weren't ready for the shift. They weren't ready for the consequences. They weren't ready for the strange chaos that hit their life after they tried to hit yours. They were so sure they could slip their little attacks under the radar. They whispered lies, gave you weird energy, threw subtle shade, and smiled like nothing happened. They thought they were being strategic. They didn't know the universe exposes every hidden intention at the exact right moment. And now look at them, confused, restless, unsettled, losing sleep, feeling heaviness they can't explain, fighting problems they created by touching a force they didn't understand. Meanwhile, you're calmer, lighter, more aligned, new doors opening, new paths showing up. That's what happens when someone tests a ranked soul. The balance flips fast. Your rank was never small, it was simply concealed. Think of a blade hidden in a sheath, silent, still, but deadly the moment it's drawn. They assumed you were defenseless because you didn't flash your power around. They wanted proof of who you are. The universe gave them proof in the form of consequences. Your silence was never weakness. It was strategy. Your peace wasn't emptiness. It was control. Your calm wasn't a lack of power. It was a sign of someone who doesn't need noise to win. They didn't just test you. They tested the universal order around you. And nature never forgives arrogance. So now let them sit with it. Let them watch their own energy boomerang back. Let them choke on the truth they tried to bury. Let them realize you were ranked long before they ever stepped into your story. Remember this, chosen one, they were unaware of your spiritual rank until they tested it. But once they did, their illusion shattered. Your truth rose. Their mask dropped. and now all that's left is the fallout. You rise, they learn. That's how this works. Chosen one, thanks for showing up with that steady energy of yours. Before we go any deeper, take a moment to ground yourself, because what comes next will hit harder than anything you've heard so far. If you've ever wondered why certain people dared to test you, why they poked at your peace, why they pushed against your silence, the next part will explain everything. And trust me, if you click away now, you'll regret missing the truth that finally exposes them. So before we keep going, drop a comment with the number 777 if you're ready to claim the rank they pretended not to see. And if you feel called to support the team behind this message with a super thanks, do it from the heart. Support fuels the mission. Support keeps this truth alive. Even the smallest gift pushes this message further into the world and helps more souls who need it. Now breathe, chosen one. Stay with me. What comes next will show you exactly why your test shook them more than it shook you. And now we move forward. Number 1. You didn't provoke a person. You triggered a ranking they could never touch. People with small energy always poke at greatness, thinking it won't hit back. And then they cry when the universe replies louder than you ever would. That's the truth they're choking on right now. They thought you were easy to play with, someone they could test without consequences. They measured you with their tiny minds, not knowing you were carrying a rank they could never reach, never fake, never steal. They didn't wake the human in you. They awakened the force you kept tucked away because you assumed they had enough sense not to cross the line. Turns out they didn't. And now they're facing the price of poking a power they never understood. They hit you thinking you'd break. They hit you thinking you'd crumble. They hit you thinking you'd react like the average soul. But average was never part of your design. You carry a weight they can't explain. You carry an energy that doesn't tremble. It watches, it studies, it waits. And when pressed too far, it unleashes. You want a metaphor? Picture someone kicking a sealed iron door, bragging like they're strong, not realizing there's a whole armored army waiting on the other side. The moment they touched that door, they didn't start a fight. They started a war they were never built for. That's exactly what happened when they targeted you. They weren't just messing with your day, or your mood, or your peace. They were poking at the invisible rank you carry, the one that stays silent until someone stupid enough decides to test it. And if you're wondering, why me? Why did they pick me? Here's your answer. People always test what secretly scares them. Your calm scared them. Your resilience scared them. Your silence scared them. And most of all, the way the universe bends in your favor scared them. They knew something was different about you long before you admitted it to yourself. That's why they hid behind fake love, fake support, fake neutral faces, plotting against you and hoping you wouldn't notice. But here's the twist they never saw coming. You didn't respond like they expected. You didn't explode. You didn't crumble. You didn't panic. You went quiet. And that silence shook them harder than any revenge could. Because silence from someone ranked hits different. It's not retreat. It's activation. Their interference was the key that unlocked the part of your spirit they never wanted to meet. The part that's been building strength every time someone underestimated you. The part that's been sharpening itself quietly across years, across pain, across losses you survived without recognition. They didn't provoke your weakness. They provoked your evolution. Now look at the irony. Every attack they launched against you only strengthened the force within you. Instead of breaking you, they exposed themselves. Instead of stopping your progress, they fueled it. Instead of blocking your path, they confirmed you were on one. Their jealousy didn't stop you. It woke you. Their sabotage didn't destroy you. It activated you. Imagine a pressure point buried deep inside a mountain. Unseen, untouched, waiting. Then someone comes along, tapping it with arrogance, and suddenly the mountain shifts. That's you. They didn't realize they had stepped on power, not dirt. They didn't realize they triggered movement, not weakness. They didn't realize the calm one was actually the ranked one. And now they're feeling the shift in their own life. Everything they tried to put on you is bouncing back. Their chaos is their own harvest now. Their sleepless nights are their own making. Their sudden blockages, their confusion, their tension, their strange losses. All of it is the echo of what they tried to send your way. Because when someone touches a force they don't understand, the universe doesn't argue, it corrects. The universe has one rule: intention never hides. They thought their fake smiles would cover their true motives. They thought their sweet words would hide their envy. They thought their silence would disguise their sabotage. But energy doesn't lie, and the moment they acted out of jealousy, the universe marked it. Not because you asked for revenge, but because universal balance doesn't allow disrespect toward ranked souls. You weren't meant to fight back physically. You weren't meant to destroy them yourself. You weren't meant to lower your vibration to expose them. Your only task was to stand still. And that stillness is what activated the force around you. They didn't understand your rank wasn't visible. It was energetic. It doesn't roar unless provoked. It doesn't show unless necessary. And when it shows, it doesn't negotiate. They didn't provoke your anger. They provoked your protection. They awakened every hidden layer of strength you carry. They awakened every silent advantage tied to your name. They awakened the universal laws that respond when someone tries to sabotage a chosen path. And now they're learning the hard way that you were never moving alone. These people miscalculated badly. They thought they were smarter. They thought they were sneaky. They thought they could compete with you in the shadows. But shadows collapse the moment the ranked one steps into awareness. Their entire plan depended on you staying quiet, but the universe didn't allow it. And now, everything they built on lies is collapsing. You don't need to retaliate. You don't need to clap back. You don't need to prove anything. Their downfall is the proof. Their confusion is the proof. Their sudden losses are the proof. Because when they tested you, they tested the universe behind you, and the universe never loses. They never expected that by trying to weaken you, they would strengthen you. They never expected that by trying to break your spirit, they would activate it. They never expected that by putting pressure on you, they would unlock power you didn't even know you had. They tried to dim your light, and instead they exposed their own darkness. This is the part that will haunt them. They weren't meant to reveal you. They weren't chosen for that role. But their envy forced the universe's hand. They became the very tool that unlocked your next level. Their betrayal was the doorway. Their test was the ignition. You didn't wake the human, chosen one. You woke the force, the one they should have never challenged, the one that rises when necessary, the one that holds rank they were blind to. They were unaware of your spiritual rank until they tested it, and now they can't unsee it. They can't outrun it. They can't undo it. And you? You rise while they learn why you were never the one to play with. Number 2, they hid in shadows, not knowing your light could track footsteps. People who attack from the dark always forget one thing. The light isn't blind. It watches, it waits, and it always answers last. That's the truth they never expected to face. They believed they could touch your path quietly, sabotage you gently, and walk away clean. They thought their whispers would vanish in the air like dust. They thought their fake smiles would hide the rot underneath. They thought their secret moves were invisible, but they forgot the oldest rule of the universe. The soul speaks louder than the mouth, and when a soul moves in jealousy, the universe hears it like thunder. It didn't start with explosions. It started with small shifts, subtle glitches, a slow creeping distortion in your atmosphere. They weren't brave enough to hit you openly. They slithered sideways. They planted doubts instead of punches. They twisted energy instead of truth. They tried to break you with confusion, not conflict. And you felt it, you just didn't have the words for it. Imagine this. You wake up one morning and the air feels heavier. Not sadness, static, like someone pressed a thumb against your spirit. Nothing obvious is wrong, but everything feels slightly off. A conversation that should flow suddenly jams. A plan that should work collapses. Messages delay. People act strange. Your peace stutters. Your instincts whisper, something is wrong, but there's no smoke, no fire, no proof. And in your mind the questions begin. Is it me? Did I mess up? Why does everything feel tilted? Am I imagining this? Here's the answer you never got back then. You weren't imagining anything. You were being targeted in ways only spiritually ranked souls can feel. They didn't come at you with fists. They came at you with frequency. They didn't attack your body. They attacked your atmosphere. They didn't break your path. They bent it, just enough to make you stumble, not enough to expose themselves. That's how small minds operate. Their goal wasn't to destroy you all at once. Their goal was to make you question yourself until you weakened from the inside. Here's another image for you. Imagine swimming in a river that looks calm on the surface, but under the water, someone turned the current against you. Every time you move forward, something pulls you back. Not violently, not loudly, just enough to drain your strength. That's what they did. They messed with the current of your life, hoping you'd blame yourself. And while you struggled in silence, they watched from the shadows, laughing, smirking, taking credit for every delay, celebrating your confusion like it was their victory. Their whispers were poison meant for your spirit. Their influence was smoke meant to cloud the minds of people around you. Their goal wasn't just to slow you down. They wanted to isolate you, weaken your support, and twist the air around you. They thought they were strategic. They thought they were safe. They thought you'd never notice. But here's a quote they should have known. Shadows only exist because the light is near. And the light was watching the entire time. The universe isn't impulsive. It doesn't rush to protect you in dramatic shows of lightning. It operates like an ancient guardian. It observes, measures, waits, watches every shift, tracks the source, identifies the hidden hand, and when the moment is right, it responds with precision that leaves the enemy stunned. They mistook the delay for permission. They thought silence meant they were winning. They thought you were slipping because they were strong. They didn't know silence means calculation. They didn't know patience means preparation. They didn't know the universe was letting them reveal every part of their true self before the consequences arrived. And because they felt no instant backlash, they escalated. They started recruiting others, whispering poison into weak ears, twisting your name into something it's not, planting lies like seeds, hoping they'd grow into trees that blocked your path. They painted your truth as ego, your strength as manipulation, your kindness as a mask, and the people who were already jealous of you, they jumped on it instantly. Imagine this, standing in a room full of people you trusted, and suddenly the air drops cold. The laughter sounds staged. The smiles look stretched. Conversations die when you enter. Eyes avoid yours. The energy feels wrong, like someone dimmed the lights inside the room. You're not paranoid. You're witnessing influence. At this point, the chosen one always asks, "What did I do to deserve this? Why are they turning on me? Why am I suddenly the problem?" And the answer is brutal but true. You didn't do a thing. They did. Your presence exposed everything they tried to hide. Your energy showed them their lack. Your growth made their stagnation undeniable. Instead of healing, they attacked the mirror, you. But the moment they escalated from whispers to warfare, the universe snapped awake. Their actions weren't just petty anymore. They were destructive. They weren't poking your life. They were trying to rewrite it. They were trying to interfere with your alignment, your mission, your momentum. They crossed from irritation into violation, and the universe doesn't tolerate violation. Another quote for them: "When you touch what's protected, you touch your own downfall." The universe logged every intention, every whisper, every lie, every move. These things don't vanish into thin air. They build, they stack, they form a spiritual record. And when the balance shifts, everything returns to sender with interest. That's when their illusion cracked. They thought the weight you felt meant you were falling behind. They didn't know the pressure was transforming you. They didn't know the heaviness was shaping you. They didn't know the static was strengthening your signal. They didn't know every glitch in your life was revealing their fingerprints. They thought they were burying you, but they were building your stage. They thought they were writing your downfall, but they were scripting your rise. They thought they were breaking you, but they were sharpening you. Imagine a diamond being pressed under extreme force. Everyone sees the pressure. No one sees the power forming inside it. That's you. That's what they activated. And now you move differently. Not in fear, in awareness, not with panic, with clarity, not seeking approval, seeing through everything. You've seen what shadow attacks look like. You've felt the sting of subtle sabotage. You've seen people shift. You've watched masks fall, and they know you've seen it. That's what terrifies them. They can't access you anymore. They can't influence you anymore. They can't twist your path anymore. Their whispers don't work on someone who has awakened. Their poison loses strength when your soul has already seen the truth. Their games collapse when you rise out of reach. And now their punishment begins, not because you asked for revenge, but because the universe closes cycles with precision. Every lie returns, every action rebounds, every intention circles back home. They tried to dim your light, but they only exposed your rank. They tried to test you, but they triggered your transformation. They thought they could move in shadows, but the light was watching. Let them whisper. Let them watch, let them tremble. You weren't falling apart, you were being refined. You weren't being punished, you were being awakened. And every move they made against you only helped you remember exactly who you are and what they could never be. Number 3, they didn't just gossip, they volunteered for their own downfall. Anyone who joins an attack on a ranked soul isn't choosing a side, they're choosing a sentence. That's the truth nobody warned them about. They thought they were dipping their toes into a little drama, adding their 2 cents, just listening, just agreeing, just repeating what they heard. But the universe doesn't deal in just. In the realm of energy, there's no such thing as neutral. The moment they added their breath to the smear, the moment they nodded at the lie, the moment they entertained the attack, they stamped their name onto the consequence. Energy judges intention, not excuses. The universe doesn't wait for screenshots or evidence. It reads motives at the speed of thought. And when those motives tilt against someone with rank, the punishment spreads to everyone who helped carry the flame. Imagine this. A spark drops onto dry grass. The person who struck the match knows exactly what they did, but every other hand that fed the flame, every person who blew on the smoke, every fool who stood near it cheering, gets burned all the same. Wildfires don't pause to separate the guilty from the "I was just there." They devour everything connected to the ignition. That's what happened when they joined the attack against you. They didn't just gossip, they enlisted. They didn't just listen, they aligned. And they didn't just follow, they co-signed the downfall someone else started. And while they were busy feeding the fire, you kept walking through the smoke like someone who knew the forest wasn't your battlefield. You felt the pressure, you felt the static, you felt the weight of eyes on you, the shift in rooms, the strange heaviness tightening around your path. But even without having the full story, your spirit knew something deeper was tracking every move. Because, chosen one, your rank doesn't defend itself with shouting. It defends itself with alignment. You don't swing, you don't scramble, you don't chase lies. The universe handles what your hands don't touch. They thought this was petty drama. The universe recognized it as a violation of principle. Each person who joined believed they were acting freely, but the moment they moved against someone they could never energetically outrank, they triggered a law older than their intentions. A cosmic audit began, silent, precise, and unavoidable. Now every whisper carries weight. Every smirk carries a signature. Every word they spoke carries a timestamp in universal code. And no, the universe doesn't strike instantly. That's what terrifies them later. It waits, it studies, it designs the lesson for each participant individually. Some will lose opportunities, some will lose peace, some will lose connections, some will lose themselves, and most won't even understand why life suddenly turned cold. So if you ever wondered, why didn't I strike back? Why didn't I fight? The answer is simple. You don't fight people you outrank. They weren't opponents. They were examples. You weren't part of their drama. You were the reason the universe stepped in. Number 4. Grace was the quiet blade that split their whole world open. Nothing terrifies a hater more than a chosen one who refuses to swing back. Silence cuts deeper than any sword. They threw everything at you because they were convinced you'd break. They expected you to explode, panic, lash out, fall apart, or expose yourself in some messy emotional meltdown. They wanted you to fight dirty so they could point and say, "See, that's who they really are." Their whole plan depended on you losing control. But you disappointed them beautifully. You didn't fight fire with fire. You let their flames lick the air until they burned their own hands. You moved with grace, not because you were weak, but because you knew the universe does its best work when you don't interfere. They mistook your calm for cowardice. They mistook your silence for surrender. They mistook your stillness for softness. But grace isn't softness. Grace is restraint. Grace is discipline. Grace is proof you were never playing on their level to begin with. Imagine this. A raging storm circles a mountain for days, screaming, throwing debris, slamming lightning at the rock. But the mountain never moves. It doesn't shake. It doesn't shout. It simply stands. And eventually, the storm exhausts itself. That was you. You weren't the wind. You were the mountain. They didn't understand that storms die, but mountains remain. Your grace shook them harder than any attack ever could. It exposed how unstable they were. While they spiraled, you stayed centered. While they plotted, you kept growing. While they tried to drag you down, you rose in silence. That silence drove them insane. They couldn't understand how you carried pressure with peace, betrayal with clarity, attacks with elegance. They didn't know your strength wasn't something you performed. It was something you embodied. And then the shift began. Everything they built on, lies, started collapsing. The chaos they designed for you circled back like a boomerang, sharper, heavier, unavoidable. The confusion they wanted you to drown in, now it lived in their own mind. The tension they wished on your life, now sitting in their chest every night. The blockages they tried to create for your path, now choking theirs. Some watched their money slip through their fingers. Plans crumbled, doors shut. People walked away. Others watched their reputation crack. Secrets leaked. True colors bled through their mask. And for a few, their own energy turned against them, fatigue, fog, emotional heaviness, because their actions weren't physical violations. They were spiritual ones. You kept your hands clean. The universe did the cleanup. Here's a fact they never calculated. Grace isn't passive. It's the trapdoor the universe uses to drop your enemies into their own consequences. You didn't retaliate because you never needed to. Grace was your weapon. Balance was your shield. And their downfall was the echo of every move they made in the dark. They thought you were harmless. They thought your heart was naive. They thought you wouldn't fight. They were right. You didn't fight. Your grace did, and it hit harder than anything they ever expected. Number 5, they didn't attack you. They signed up for a universal lesson they can't escape. Anyone who moves against a ranked soul doesn't start a fight. They start a class they can't drop. That's the part they never understood. They thought their gossip, sabotage, and shady moves would dissolve into the background of life. They assumed their attacks were small enough to hide under excuses. But the universe doesn't grade size, it grades intention. And the moment their energy tilted against you, they didn't launch an attack. They enrolled themselves into a cosmic masterclass designed around their own flaws. The universe doesn't warn when it's time to teach. It teaches, directly, brutally, precisely. Everything that came next wasn't punishment. It was instruction, customized, laser-focused, delivered exactly where it would hurt enough to wake them up. Some people learn only when life hits them in the exact place they're weakest, and the universe knows that. It doesn't hand out vague karma. It takes the energy they sent and turns it into a curriculum built from their own shadows. Imagine someone throwing a boomerang with full force, laughing as it leaves their hand, not realizing it's circling back sharper than it left. That's their attack. They didn't hit you, they hit themselves on the return. And still, they didn't understand. They blamed timing, co-workers, the economy, their childhood, their relationships, everyone except themselves. They thought life just got heavy. They thought you were lucky. They thought hitting you harder would break through whatever shield was around you. They doubled down. They recruited more bitter people. They whispered more lies. They tried new tactics, as if consistency would wear down your protection. But protection born from cosmic authority isn't a wall you can chip. It's atmosphere. You can't punch air. You can't stab wind. You can't outmaneuver a force that surrounds, responds, and recalibrates faster than their envy can keep up. Every strike they sent your way was measured, counted, and transformed. Not into harm for you, but into acceleration for you. Your spiritual rank isn't passive. It's reactive. Pressure doesn't crush you. It summons reinforcement. Every jab they made increased the energy supporting you. Every scheme became evidence in the universe's case against them. And then the shift hit. But not for them, for you. Walls became doors. Delays became breakthroughs. Closed opportunities cracked open with perfect timing. People in power noticed you without you trying. Resources showed up from places you didn't even know existed. Everything they tried to block rushed toward you twice as fast, like the universe wanted you to see how untouchable you really were. Meanwhile, the things they believed they deserved began slipping like sand. Promotions disappeared. Relationships cracked. Support evaporated. Their confidence deflated. Their plans collapsed before they even got started. Confusion became their morning routine. They couldn't think straight, couldn't focus, couldn't find the spark they once had. And still, they didn't connect the dots, because accepting that you were protected would mean admitting they violated a boundary they never should have crossed. But the universe doesn't wait for apologies. It doesn't pause for understanding. Consequences arrive based on spiritual hierarchy, not their belief system. They crossed a line, and now they aren't just losing, they're learning, not from lectures, from collapse, because once the universe starts a masterclass, the lesson doesn't end until the soul gets it. Number 6. They tried to break you and hit the wall built to protect you. Anyone who aims to destroy a ranked soul is basically punching a mirror. Whatever they throw comes back and shatters them first. That's exactly what happened here. They weren't fighting you. They were fighting the system that surrounds you, the invisible architecture built into your path. They thought their schemes were clever, their timing precise, their intentions hidden. They believed they could break you in silence and walk away untouched, but the universe doesn't need thunder to reveal truth. Sometimes the loudest punishment arrives in quiet shock. The moment they realize they ruined themselves trying to ruin you. They thought you'd collapse. Instead, you elevated. They thought you'd fall apart. Instead, you unlocked levels they never had access to. And that reality broke them far more deeply than any revenge ever could. Imagine someone digging a pit for you, proud of the trap they designed. They cover it, hide it, wait for you to fall in, but the universe reroutes your steps, and they're the ones who walk straight into the hole. That's what this was. Every piece of sabotage they crafted snapped back with more force than they could handle. They saw it with their own eyes. While they expected your life to shrink, it expanded. While they expected your income to dry up, it stabilized stronger than ever. Unexpected money flowed in. Delayed blessings showed up on schedule. New streams opened every time they tried to block the old ones. That wasn't coincidence. That was rank. And relationships. The universe did surgery there too. Fake ones fell off. Weak ones snapped. But the real ones, they grew deeper, safer, aligned. New people entered your world who didn't need you small to feel big. Your space became cleaner. Your peace became sharper. This wasn't survival, it was transformation. Meanwhile, they unraveled. Their reputation cracked from the inside. Their energy drained faster than they could refill it. Their circle thinned. Their peace evaporated. Confusion drowned their clarity. Everything they wanted slipped through their fingers like sand. And then, the moment of truth hit. The realization they tried to avoid. You weren't lucky, you were ranked. This was never a fair fight. They were a spark challenging the sun, a feather defying gravity, an echo trying to overpower thunder. They misread everything about you. Your humility wasn't weakness. Your stillness wasn't passivity. Your quiet wasn't emptiness. It was power refined, contained, aligned. Imagine them trying to break steel with bare hands. That's what their attack was. You didn't chant, you didn't spellcast, you didn't scramble for protection. You are protected. It's woven into your blueprint. Now they finally see it, not because someone told them, but because their life is reflecting it back. They aimed at you and shattered themselves. They targeted your peace and lost their own. They thought they had the right to touch what was sealed. Now the universe is teaching them exactly why they never did. Number 7, they didn't attack you. They challenged gravity, and gravity dragged them down. Anyone who jumps off a cliff out of envy shouldn't be shocked when the universe refuses to break their fall. That's exactly what they did. They strutted toward your energy like warriors marching into battle, convinced their whispers, sabotage, and shadow work made them powerful. They thought they were launching an attack. In reality, they were stepping off a cliff with full confidence and calling it warfare. They weren't fighting you, they were fighting universal law, and the universe always wins. Imagine this scene. Someone stands on a high ledge, hyped up by their own ego, swearing they're about to prove a point. They leap with the confidence of a god, only to drop like a stone because gravity doesn't negotiate. That fall, that hard, sickening, instant regret. That's exactly what happened the moment they moved against you. They believed their rumors would stain your name. They believed their sabotage would slow your steps. They believed their spiritual interference would twist your path. But the universe doesn't just protect ranked souls. It retaliates on their behalf. Every hit they threw at you boomeranged with precision. Every lie they whispered bent back toward their own life. Every blockage they tried to place on your path snapped shut on theirs. They learned the hard way that spiritual law doesn't wait for witnesses, apologies, or explanations. It doesn't need them to believe in energy for energy to act. The universe responds to truth, vibration, and intention, and their intention was rotten, so the universe responded accordingly. You saw it happen. The job they tried to block for you, they lost theirs. The reputation they tried to ruin, their own circle now questions them. The financial collapse they wanted for you, it knocked on their door instead and wouldn't leave. And the traps, oh, the traps. Every single one they crafted snapped around their own ankles. Every spiritual attack bounced off your alignment and hit the source. Every curse they whispered echoed back into their own home, louder than it left. Meanwhile, you rose like someone gravity couldn't touch. You didn't just survive, you transformed. You became sharper, calmer, more aligned, more aware. You walked through what was meant to break you and came out crowned. And here's the part that ruins them the most. You didn't lift a finger, you didn't clap back. You didn't even need to know what they were planning. Your protection wasn't reaction, it was design. Because the universe has one final truth carved in stone. You cannot break what was sealed by cosmic authority. They jumped, gravity answered, and you kept rising. Number 8. You didn't survive the war. You rose above its entire spectrum. Passing a spiritual test isn't about fighting harder. It's about standing so still that the enemy exposes itself. That's what happened here. You didn't win because you clapped back, screamed, argued, fought, or matched their chaos. You won because you didn't have to. Your restraint was the final exam, and you passed with the kind of excellence that shakes entire timelines. You walked through fire without flinching, and when the smoke finally lifted, it was clear. You weren't just untouched, you were evolved. They expected to see you crack, leak, panic, collapse, or react out of fear or ego, but you didn't. Instead of breaking, you broke through. Instead of falling, you rose. Instead of engaging, you ascended. What they called an attack was actually an activation. They tried to expose your weakness, but all they did was reveal your rank. Your calm, that was wisdom. Your silence, that was authority. Your lack of retaliation, that was mastery. You didn't win by force. You won by knowing you didn't need any. Meanwhile, they were falling apart, piece by piece, their energy drained, their emotions dried out, their stability evaporated. Every ounce of force they aimed at you ricocheted back sharper and more personal than before. Not because you cursed them, but because the universe turned their own intentions into their teacher. They thought they were launching a strategy. They didn't know they were volunteering for a spiritual audit. Imagine them trying to kick down your door while their own house was burning behind them. By the time they noticed the smoke, the damage had already devoured everything they relied on. Their downfall wasn't an accident. It was a mirror. Some tried to slither back, sending casual messages as if time could erase intention. But the universe isn't fooled by fake normalcy. Energy doesn't forget. Once it's released into the world, it fulfills its purpose. Balance. Others came with apologies, explanations, weak attempts at redemption, but spiritual law doesn't operate on pity. Repentance can soften a lesson, but it cannot reverse the trajectory of karma already in motion. A few even twisted the story further, blaming you for the collapse they created. But the truth is simple. They broke themselves trying to break you. You didn't cast spells. You didn't seek revenge. You simply existed with a level of protection they weren't equipped to challenge. Their collapse was not your doing. It was the consequence of defying laws they didn't understand. Now they sit with consequences they can't avoid and a truth they can't rewrite. You were never meant to fight on their level. You were always ranked far above the battlefield they dragged themselves into. And while they search for excuses, you stand elevated, calmer, wiser, clearer, and transformed. You didn't survive the war. You graduated from it. and nothing will ever be the same again. Number 9. They tried to humiliate you, but the universe turned them into the warning sign. Anyone who tries to make a ranked soul the example ends up becoming the lesson everyone else learns from. That's exactly what played out. They wanted to shame you, expose you, embarrass you, drag your name through shadows and whispers. They wanted to turn you into a cautionary tale, a spectacle, a downfall others could gossip about. But the universe flipped the script so violently that they became the example, not you. Their attack didn't stay personal, it became public in the spiritual realm. Their downfall didn't stay quiet, it echoed across energies that watch everything. Imagine lightning meant for a single tree suddenly lighting up the entire sky. Every tree in the forest sees that flash, every branch feels that heat, and instantly not one of them even thinks of touching that same force. That's what happened. Your attackers were the match, but you became the wildfire. They lit the fuse, but the universe turned the blast outward, making sure every jealous spectator, every silent hater, every "I won't say anything, but I hope they fail" bystander understood the message. Touch this one, and you won't survive the lesson. That message hit harder than any revenge you could have delivered. Your silence outshined their noise. Your rise overshadowed their resistance. Your integrity exposed their insecurity. Your elevation humbled their ego. People who once doubted you, now quiet, watching, processing, adjusting their tone. The ones who whispered behind your back, suddenly careful with their words. The ones who secretly envied you, now terrified of repeating the same mistake your attackers made. You didn't just walk away protected, you walked away upgraded. Your reputation in the unseen didn't grow because you defended yourself. It expanded because your enemies collapsed in real time. What they meant for humiliation became your coronation. Your life shifted in ways nobody could deny. Opportunities aligned, doors opened. Peace returned with a sharper clarity, and every person with even an ounce of intuition could feel it. You're not someone to test lightly. The universe placed a signal around you, not fear-based, but power-based. A silent mark that says, "This one is sealed. Interfere if you want to taste consequences you can't outrun." You didn't just survive. You became a living memo to the dark and a beacon to anyone walking in the light. Realms you didn't even know you touched now recognize your essence. Your confidence, it wasn't ego, it was awareness. Your calm, not emptiness, authority. Your rise, not luck, design. Now you've seen how the universe works for someone ranked. You've seen how spiritual justice hits. Slow, exact, irreversible. You've seen how your attackers fell by their own hands, their own choices, their own intentions. You don't carry power. You are power. And now every eye watching knows it. Your path is clearer. Your protection is unquestionable. And any future test comes with zero suspense because the results are already guaranteed. You rise, they fall. You are sealed, they are warned. You are ranked, untouchable by shadows, untouched by sabotage, unmoved by attacks. They tried to end you. All they did was reveal you. Walk forward knowing the test is over, and you passed with a rank they never saw coming, and you made it to the end, chosen one, and that alone proves your rank. Everything you faced wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to reveal exactly who you are and what the universe has placed on your path. Now you walk forward sharper, stronger, untouchable, and fully aware of the power you carry. If this message hit home, press the like button if you haven't already, and if you're still not part of our family, make sure to press subscribe. Your journey isn't ending here. This is only the rise.